had severe breathlessness, giddiness, and I nearly passed out by evening to a point where I woke up in the middle of the night around 2 o'clock. That's when I gained consciousness.
Hi guys, this is the 15th episode of the Hashbrown Traveler. I'm your host H-Man. Today in this episode we are going to interview Dr. Abhishek Daniel, the vlogger on YouTube for his channel The Bullet Strings. Give a brief introduction about yourself.
My name is Abhishek. I'm basically from Kerala, moved to Bangalore around 6 years ago. I'm a doctor by profession and traveler by passion and guitarist as well.
When did you start bike riding cross country?
Bike riding cross country, the first trip I ever took was in 2016, I think, when I was still in college. That was just a small ride from Trivandrum to Alapi, and this was just a day ride to and fro. From there on, I got hooked to the idea of going places in bike. So that was my dad's bike, and because I was still at home, I didn't have the permission to go for long trips alone in bikes. So it was not until I moved to Bangalore in 2016, and then I bought my first bike in 2017. So that's when I started going for trips on my bike. And the first trip was to Goa, from Bangalore to Goa, and from there on, it continued.
Very inspired by the Malayalam movie Neelakasham Pachakal Chivana Bhumi.
Yes. Very inspired by that movie. Yes, and because of that movie, I bought. My first ever bike was a Royal Enfield Bullet, and that too because Dulkar rides a old model. I bought a 1975 model Royal Enfield. So yes, that movie was a big inspiration.
Since it's been a trend traveling around by adventurers, how do you manage expenses during the trip?
I try to make the trip as least expensive as possible. Meaning that most of the time for breakfast I carry my own food like bread and peanut butter. A jar of peanut butter I carry with me always. So that one meal like that it is sorted. I stay in hostels, mostly in bunk beds. So that will cost around 500-600 per night. And the most expensive part of a trip would be petrol. So other than that, everything I try to cut costs as much as possible.
Out of this, which was the most expensive trip in your terms?
The most expensive trip in my terms was my trip to Ladakh, because that was the most number of days. It was a 21-day trip, so it cost me roughly around 80,000 rupees. So that was the most expensive trip that I've taken so far.
Yeah, coming to the Ladakh question only, while traveling to high altitude places like Leh and Ladakh, what were the challenges that you faced during the trip?
High altitude, the biggest challenge that I faced was acute mountain sickness. The first day, the day that I ascended from Manali to Pang, it was like 8,000 feet ascent. So I felt very sick, had severe breathlessness, giddiness, and I nearly passed out by evening to a point where I woke up in the middle of the night around 2 o'clock. That's when I gained consciousness and all that. And I was all alone, I was in a rented tent also at that time. So it was excruciating, and the temperatures fell to 3 or 4 degrees at that night. So, and I didn't have proper gear. And because I lay down without wearing any protective gear. I woke up in the night with severe pain in my feet and hands and all that. So the cold temperature and the high altitude, lack of oxygen are the two main things that I faced, the two main challenges that I faced there.
Yeah, and actually in a place like Ladakh, you see the magnetic road, right? So
Yes.
have you tried that?
That is on the way from Leh to Srinagar. I passed by that route. Yes, yeah, saw that, and basically what they tell is not just magnetic. It is just that the visual, the image that you see while you stand at the road, based on the mountains and that altitude, something like that. Some science behind is there where actually it is a slope, but you don't see it as a slope. So actually it is the gravity that is pulling you forward rather than the magnetic.
So you're saying it's like a mirage.
Yes, kind of thing. Yes.
Yeah. So next question is that have you ever crossed the borders of India to neighboring nations like Nepal or Bhutan? As it's also a trend by bikers to visit countries.
Till now, no, and that is my dream. So next plan, I mean, the next bucket list item that I have is a trip to Thailand, where you cross many borders like Burma, and also that's my next. I mean, something that I look forward to next. Till now, I have not crossed borders, but I have been till Pakistan border. So that's one good thing, yeah.
So like where specifically, which border was that?
That is when I went to Turtuk. Turtuk is a village that is bordered by Pakistan. 11 kilometers ahead to Turtuk is Tyakshi, which is the last village. From there, you can easily see the Pakistan border. It's in Ladakh region.
Oh, Ladakh.
It's in Ladakh region.
So yes. Are you saying the Pakistan occupied Kashmir?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So next question is, as a doctor by profession, what comes first, doctor or adventurer?
Actually, adventurer comes first. My profession is just to fund my adventure is what I would say.
So next question is, since you said that you wanted to go to Thailand via Burma and all that, so how do you make it as a reality? Do you have any plans for that?
As of now, I don't have any plans because right now I'm in the middle of a few other projects. But Ladakh trip also, I took almost 2 years to plan. I had to save up obviously money for that. Not just for the expense of the trip. While I'm traveling, I still have to pay rent. And I will be on unpaid leave also. So all those expenses I have to meet. So I have to save up money, then plan accordingly. So since Ladakh took me almost 2 years to plan, I think a trip like a Thailand trip will take much longer time.
Have you traveled around the world as a tourist?
No, till now no. I have not got the opportunity to travel around the world. I got opportunity to travel few other countries. Like my uncle stays in Oman, Muscat is an engineer there, so he has taken us there a couple of times. Then I have been to Holy Land trip, that is Jordan, Israel, Egypt. That's the only 4 countries I think I have traveled to.
Yeah, and moreover, like the experience of seeing the pyramids up close.
Yes.
Like how was it?
Yes. That was absolutely beautiful. We have all grown up seeing the mummy and even shows on NGC about in ancient Egypt and all. So when we went to, the pyramids, you are not. When I went, at least you are not allowed to go till the pyramids where you can go and touch. Actually, you have to stay a little bit far. So we got to see it from a distance. But the museum of ancient history museum, that was like really good. We got to see all those mummies, the history of Tutankhamun and all that. So that was really exciting.
As a vlogger, have you managed to spread the awareness of your biking adventures to your viewers? And how is the response for your YouTube channel Bullet Strings?
Yes, there were certain things that I learned, especially on my trip to Ladakh, like regarding acute mountain sickness or the places to go there, or what you need to carry, what you need to prepare and all that stuff. So after I came back from the trip, people started asking me, at least my friends, how expensive was it? How many days did it take? And what all did you pack? What did you carry? And all that stuff. So I made separate videos on all this in my YouTube channel, and I got a good response from that. Like comments like, thanks for sharing this, we didn't know, even we went through the same thing and we experienced it, so we could relate to it and all that stuff. So that really motivated me to create more informative videos than vlog style videos, which I like the most, but audience would prefer more informative style videos, and I am so happy to make those videos also.
Yeah, and this is not specifically a question. Like, I just want to ask that. See, you traveled all the way to Ladakh, right? So, to transport your bike and all that, you need to go through train. So, like, how much that would cost, if you can tell?
Okay, from here I rode all the way to Ladakh, and while coming back, I parceled my bike from Delhi to Bangalore. So I think if I remember correctly, the parcel charge for my Himalayan was 4,750 something from Delhi to Bangalore train charges, and then you have to spend 100 rupees everywhere, like to load, to unload, to pack, to unpack, and all that, to all those porters. So it would cost, I mean, it was somewhere around 6,000 rupees in total to transport my bike back from Delhi to Bangalore.
You have a passion for music also. Do you want to pursue that as a full time someday?
Music is like the thing that I love the most. Biking comes second, profession comes third. So music, I mean, it's somewhere it's like my escape mechanism where at the end of the day, if when you feel stressful and all that stuff, you run back to your guitar, play something, and it calms you down. So I don't want to monetize music. I don't want to pursue that as a full-time thing, because at the end of the day, creatives who follow their dreams, they know that when you try to monetize it, you might have to compromise a little bit of there, a little bit of that. So I don't want to do that to my music. So I still write songs, I release it once in a while, and I still do covers and all that stuff. But that I keep as a personal go-to space, and I don't want to pursue that as a full-time thing.
So, who's your favorite rock band?
My favorite band would be Tesseract.
Tesseract.
Yes.
I mean, like traditional classic rock bands like 70s, 80s.
AC/DC.
AC/DC.
Yes.
And any local artists like
Yeah,
Johnny?
there are many good indie artists. I mean, we as Bangaloreans are lucky to have those bands around us. The one band I listen to most is TDT, Downtrodden's, and then there are so many other artists, Pineapple Express, and yeah, to name a few, those are the two bands that I listen to the most, other than all other indie artists as well.
Last and final question. Your personal advice to bikers?
Personal advice, I think for beginners who want to get into this, I would say, I mean, as bikers and beginners who like adventure touring and all that, you tend to concentrate more on the bike that you need to have, or more on the what do you say, expensive things that you need to ride on, kind of thing. But I would say, I mean, more than the bike, your experience on that bike matters, and the protective gear that you use matters. So if you can't invest in good quality riding gears, if you can't invest good amount of time on your bike, learning to know your machine before you go for a tour or an adventure, then don't do it. Because there have been many friends of mine and many cases where they have not prepared enough and just took their bike and went for adventures, have met with accidents, and have regretted it a lot. So adventure touring comes with its own risk. It's comes with its own share of troubles. So you need to be a lot prepared for it. Practice on your bike a lot. Invest in good quality riding gears, and then think about touring.
Who would you like consider as inspiration for biking?
So I think that first time, I mean, as a family, my father and mother both like to travel a lot. We've traveled a lot to a lot of places on cars, never on bikes, but on cars. We've traveled like all throughout India. The first time I thought I should try riding on a bike and traveling is when I read a book called One Life to Ride by an author named Ajit Harisinghani. So in his book he tells a story about how after his retirement he decided to ride from Pune to Ladakh. So that book I think I read it when I was in 10th standard or 11th standard. From then on, it hooked me that someday I want to do this. I want to do this in my own bike and all that. So, and that I always had this excitement, but I didn't know whether it was just an excitement of reading a book or not. But once when I started trying it out, I was like, this is it. It's like there's something about bike riding that a trip on a car can never fulfill.
Thank you so much for giving an interview for the Hashbrown Traveler.
No problem.
Please do subscribe Dr. Abhishek Daniel in his YouTube page. It's called Abhishek Daniel only, Bullet Strings.
Yes.
And you can follow him on Instagram and in Bullet Strings only. And I hope you like this episode. Please do like, share, subscribe the Hashbrown Traveler.
Thank you.